in those of good understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition the first and second time. But bold, hard, proud,
I'd like to know...
I don't know much.
He should curb at the very
Do you know anything about...
I don't. He doesn't like me, and he's on very friendly terms with the Circators. That's about it.
And again, beat your son with the rod, and you will deliver his soul.
What can you tell me about
Not a lot. I don't know him. Actually, I don't know much about him at all. Except that he's not a stickler for rules.
He ought to govern his disciples with a twofold...
Are you joking? Don't you know any...
Why should I?
I'd have thought you might want to know who you'll be spending the rest of your life with. I definitely do. In fact, I probably already know more about them than you do.
Don't get upset. I'm sorry I can't tell you more. I just haven't felt like getting to know anyone yet.
In the night, I overheard the cicadas in the cellar. They were talking about you.
Oh, no. So it's still not over. This isn't a life in service of God. This is purgatory.
Lucas, what's going on?
What do you think? Just like you, I saw the cicadas drinking and playing hazard as if they were in a brothel.
And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but since he has the authority,
you should have joined them.
Let him cut out those faults.
Join them in their sinful pursuits.
As they begin to appear.
Yes, perhaps I should have. But I refuse to do it.
I warned them if they didn't stop, I'd go and tell the prior. But instead of mending their ways, they vented their anger on me.
You've picked the wrong people to make enemies of, Lucas, they told me. Now I can't even count how many days and nights I've spent locked up in solitary confinement for the tiniest offenses, or for no offense at all.
The fool is not corrected with words. And again, beat your son with the rod.
Is there something I can do to help?
Would you? I think all it might take is for you to go and sit down with them. Have a talk, set things straight, then they'd leave me alone. I'm afraid even this path leads nowhere. They'd probably start hounding you as well.
I'm not afraid of them.
Brother, you have the courage I lack. May the grace of God be upon you.
Will you tell me something? I mean, where you're from, what sort of...
I'm a novice, and my monastic...
You see, I'm looking for...
You're looking for someone? But
I am a novice. At least until I find them out.
Why would you be looking amongst monks? You know, the laws of man aren't valid here. In the cloister, we're subject to divine law, the law of the church.
I'm looking for a footpad who's hiding out here in the monastery. He had a hand in raising the Neuhoff farm. He's taken many lives.
I heard something about that. But why are you telling me all this?
Because you could help me. It has to be one of the other novices.
That can't be. Have you told the prior? What are you going to do to this man once you find him?
Talk to him. Then I'll see. Do you have any idea which of the novices could be the imposter I'm looking for?
I don't know, and I don't care to know. I wish you'd never told me. Now I won't be able to sleep at night.
I've heard that you, well, that you enjoy the company of men. Is there any truth to it?
What? How do you know that?
I read it in the abbot's book.
What? The abbot's book is locked up in his chambers, and he'd never allow anyone to read it. Did you break in? But why? Just so you could dig something up on me?
I was looking for something else, but I just happened to come across your story.
No matter what you were looking for, you crossed a line that shouldn't be crossed. But don't worry, I won't tell on you if you promise me the same. Yes, you can call me a sodomite, a sinner, a monster, the spawn of Satan. But tell me this, Gregor. Can I help the way I am? I tell you, it's a test of my faith. A test so daunting you can't even imagine it.
When anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching.
You're right.
That is to say,
I found it interesting, but I'm not judging you. You are the way you are. You should be true to yourself.
I'm glad you aren't like the others. Thank you for not passing judgment. I swear to God, I've never lain with another man. I've never sinned. When my father wanted me to find a wife and start a family, I told him the truth, and he had me sent here. And in a way, I was glad. My guilt had been consuming me, and I knew in the monastery I'd find peace. The Lord sees my soul, and he knows it's pure.
Not love one more than another, unless it be one whom he finds better in good works or in obedience. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he has the authority, let him cut out those faults by the roots as soon as they begin to appear.
Talk to me, brother.
I heard you've been mistreating Novice Lucas.
What's it to you?
I want you to put an end to it and treat him like you should. Like a brother.
Well, well. You've really grown a pair of angel's wings. You better be careful. Wings can get clipped. A few days rotting in solitary might remind you who's who around here.
Early, at the middle of the 8th hour, and let them again do what work has to be done until Vespers. Weak or sickly brethren...
I couldn't care less who's around here. All I know is, there's me, a young man in his prime, and there's you, a decrepit old geezer who's about to get his face smashed in.
Come now, brother. There's no need for such angry words. Nothing serious happened. We had a bit of a brotherly disagreement with Lucas, but that's water under the bridge. Please, tell him everything's been forgiven, and he's got nothing to fear from us. Satisfied?
Thanks. I'm always glad when people can come to a civil agreement.
Beware of Lucas. He might corrupt you.
What do you mean?
He's a sodomite, a sinner. He might try to get you into the habit, or out of it.
Permission to speak should rarely be granted even to perfect disciples, even though it be for good, holy.
I'll decide for myself who I do and don't talk to.
Written, in much speaking you will not escape sin.
What do you desire?
Death and life are in the power
I'd like to ask...
For speaking and teaching belong to the master. The disciple's part is to be silent and to listen. For that reason, if anything
What is it?
asked of the superior, it should be asked with all the humility and
About you and the...
Ask me anything you...
reverence. But as for coarse jests and idle words or words...
I'm not really...
Then why are you wasting...
These we condemn everywhere with a perpetual ban. And for such
Thank you for
conversation, we do not permit a disciple to open his mouth.
I'd like to...
The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the spirit of
I
silence.
heard you've been...
What's it to you?
The prophet says. I said,
I want you to put an end to it and treat him like you should.
Well, well.
I have set a
You've
guard
really
in
got...
my mouth. I was mute and was humbled and kept silent.
I couldn't care less.
Come now, brother. There's no need. Oh, we had a bit of a brotherly disagreement.
Thanks.
Times to refrain
Beware of Lucas.
What do you mean?
He's a sodomite.
of the punishment for sin. Make us
I'll decide for...
words. Therefore, since the spirit of silence is so important, permission to speak
What
should
is it?
rarely be granted even to perfect disciples, even though it be for good, holy, edifying conversation. For it is written...
I spoke to the cicadas about how they've been treating you.
Really? Did you manage to convince them?
Death and life are in the
I turned the screws on them. They'll leave you alone now.
You've done it? You've stood up to the cicadas. You've earned my admiration and my thanks. Because now I know I can trust you. There's something I want to tell you. It's about Brother Antonius. I wouldn't like to say something that isn't true. God forbid I should cause harm by my words, but this is something I'm sure of. Novice Antonius is lying to us.
What makes you say that?
He claims he's a merchant's son from Vlashim, and that he joined the order voluntarily. The thing is, I spent a great deal of time in Vlashim. I know it like the back of my hand, and no one even remotely like Antonius has ever lived there.
Are you sure? Because this could mean that...
It's true, or Canute isn't my name. That would be my secular name, by the way, but that's not important. I know Vlashim, and I know the local merchants there, and I've never seen Antonius among them. Why would he be lying if he had nothing to hide?
Thank you for telling me. I'll look into it.
The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the spirit of silence. Let us do